folks, and welcome to the first part of this project video. This is going to be my next project. At the moment it looks like nothing at all, but I'm going to use a Pomsie. It's a standard Pomsie with the standard sounds. I'm going to make a cat-like face and head and ears for it and flock that. And the body is going to be underneath this little coat, and I'm going to use the animatronic tail that Paul has developed. This is the fur that I'm going to use for the project. A very dark mix of black and sort of like a reddy brown, and I've done the best that I can with the limited colours of flock that I've got to try and get something that matches to some degree. So first I'm going to put latex on the former that Paul has made for the tail that will be flocked with this flock. So I've covered it with latex and the latex has set, so that's ready to flock now. So I've flocked it now. Paul made the former more pointed at the end of the tail on this one, and for some reason that shape seems to have not attracted the flock at the end, so it's a bit bare at the end, so I can do a bit of patching up on that tomorrow. But as you can see, on most of the tail it's covered really densely and the colour's very good. I'm surprised at what a good match it is for the fur, because I was just using flock that I had in. I hadn't purposely bought correct colour, so I'm really surprised that it matches so well. So now we can try this on the animatronic tail that Paul's developed and see what it's like.
It's not sweeping through its full angular range yet.
But it still looks fab, don't you think?
Very nice.
Yeah, I really like it. So this is going to be going in our cat project. So Paul's taken the Pomsie apart that I'm using in this project, ready to extend all the wires that he needs to. And these eyes have just arrived in the post. They only cost me a couple of pounds, including postage. They're actually just high quality printer paper with a cat eye printed on and then glass put in front of it. So what we want to do is replace the original eyes with these cat eyes. So these are the original eyes that were in, and we're just wondering if Paul could glue the new eyes just onto
These bits of plastic tube that protrude out of the head.
Yeah. What do you think, Paul?
I think that's probably a good idea.
Don't see why we shouldn't be able to do that.
Mm.
But before Paul can glue the new eyes on, there's quite a lot of work to do on this Pomsie, isn't there, Paul?
Yeah, it's mainly about extending the wires from the 3 touch sensors and the nose button.
So those 2 white wires there, where are they going to?
Well, these 2 white wires go back to what was the nose switch, but we took the nose switch off and soldered a couple of wires to it, and we put some epoxy resin on to sort of stabilise it all and protect the joints. So this wire will eventually be terminated in a switch, and you will put that wherever you want in the body of the cat that you're making.
Paw, hopefully.
Paw, yeah. And the touch sensor wires have got to be extended, and the next bit of work I do on it. But before that, I went over all the joints with, as the wires come off the circuit board, with it being an old toy, they're quite prone to breaking, so we've just epoxied them all up to stop any breakages from occurring.
So you've got all the wiring done on this now, Paul?
Yeah, all the touch sensors have been extended. This twisted wire is for the nose button. You've got to put a switch on the end of it. And also the red and black wire, that's the power input to the device, because it's getting its power from a different place rather than the battery compartment.
So you're going to power this up next, aren't you, to test it?
Yeah, we'll power it up, make sure it still works, and then secure the wires as they come out of the plastic body. The new eyes in this packet here will be going on these little tubes.
I'll be really interested to see what they look like with the light shining behind them.
Yeah, when they're going to be backlit, aren't they, by those little
Different
white
coloured.
squares of coloured LEDs, yeah.
So you've got it powered up to a battery here now, Paul.
Yep.
And you put a push button switch.
That's what replaces the nose, yeah.
And we've got all these touch sensors here. So this switch powers it up, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. That would be the nose switch. Shall I
Yeah,
operate
so
it?
power it up.
Just give it one quick press.
So this is a touch sensor.
Yeah.
That makes it purr. So that's the one to go on the back.
Okay.
So that's the one off the top of the head.
Yep. And this must be the mouth one then.
Yes, that's why it's given a kiss. So the next thing you're going to do is put those eyes on.
Yeah.
So you're just going to glue those on with Evo stick.
Yeah, I think so.
So Paul's got the eyes glued on now. They look great. So you're going to power it up so we can see what the lights are like behind them. Oh, interesting.
You'll only see the light coming through the eyes when it's in the model, rather than the strong light on the surrounding plastic, so it'll be more subtle.
This paw and grey polymer clay I made a while ago when I was first trying to make latex parts to flock, and I've decided to use this in the project I'm working on now. I've added a leg to it and a shoulder that I'm going to glue this joint to so that it can have a joint in the shoulder, and I'm going to cover this with latex. So what I was doing originally when I made latex parts was I was making a mould from a polymer clay and then making a latex part from the mould. But because I'm flocking these parts, I'm going to do the same as I did with the tail. I'm just going to put latex on top of this because I don't need to get all of this detail, as it's going to be covered over with flock anyway. So I'm just going to cover it with latex and then the glue and then the flock. So the last coat of latex is just drying now. And this is what it looks like covered in latex. I've made this former to go inside the latex skin, and Paul's used Evo stick to glue this joint onto the top. So with the help of Paul and a release agent, we've got that skin off the former and put the permanent former inside. So this will need cleaning down to get the release agent off it. And then I'll be filling in with latex here, where I had to cut it to get it off. And I'll be putting some latex on the parts that are a bit thin. So this is finished now and ready to flock. I've closed up all that gap that was here, filled it up with latex and covered up the joint here, and I gave it a bit more shape at the front here where the claws should be. I don't think we're actually going to put claws on this one, but maybe in the future project. So yes, that's all ready to flock. We're thinking about the back legs for the cat now. This was a sort of prototype joint that you made a while ago, wasn't it, Paul?
Yeah, we used a nylock nut so that it holds the compression and gives you the right sort of friction without varying.
So what Paul's going to do next in Design Spark is he's going to modify this so it's got not just one joint but two joints, because we want to make it roughly like the skeleton of the inside of a cat's leg, back leg.
And we're moving from square section to a smaller round section.
Yes, so it's going to be round rather than square, and two joints rather than just one joint.
And they'll be in proportion to the skeleton.
So Paul, you've printed out the first part of the jointed leg.
Yeah, and this is it. Printed out in 2 halves for strength, solid, 100% infill, and that'll be stuck together with super glue.
So this is going to be the one that's going to be in the middle of the leg. So
Yeah,
it's
we'll
the
call-
medium length
We'll
one.
call that the thigh.
You're going to have a nut and a bolt like
Yep.
that one.
That's right. A nylock nut. So once you tighten them down, they don't alter the tightness. We've got the strength in the middle, but because the cross-sectional areas of these bits where the other joint goes in between, you can see they're quite thin. So you can see when I do that, they do flex.
Right.
So they become quite weak, but they're probably strong enough.
You've got the other two parts of the leg to print out.
Yeah, there'll be the sort of foot part that goes down here, and the hip part that goes up here.
So I've now made the other front leg in polymer clay, and that is ready to latex. And this is how things are standing at the end of the first part of this project video. So in the next video, I'll be latexing that second leg, and I'll be flocking both the front legs. Paul will be printing out the other parts for the jointed back leg and fixing that together. And you'll be working on the programming for the tail, won't you, Paul?
Oh yes, the Orion microcontroller will be developing some nice little routines to hopefully move this tail in an interesting manner.
And I'll be working on the head for this critter. So I'll be working on making a latex face and head to go over the Pomsie. But that's it for this video, folks. Thanks for watching as always, and hope you can join us for the second part of this project.
Yeah,